First, I'd like to ask where you think the world's tallest building will be in the year 2050 and why.
So in terms of the trend of skyscrapers in the future, I think that by 2050, the tallest building in the world is not going to appear in China, but rather still in Dubai, because Dubai has this kind of a taste to pursue those bizarre-shaped buildings with a very tall height. But for the future trend of the China market, I think quite the reverse. There is going to be a de-skyscrapering trend. Not like we're going to have 0 tall buildings, no. But we're going to have a limited number of tall buildings. China is not going to blindly pursue to be the tallest skyline in the world.
What do you see as the Bund Finance Center's main contribution to the urban fabric or the urban experience of Shanghai? What changes has it undergone, and what has surprised you about it since it opened?
And of course, this is a topic that's going to take hours, but very briefly, we're going to build a Bund Financial Center into an urban living room. So we hope that the entire world can return to the Bund area. So we're going to continue the fabrics because this is a region or area with a history of a century. Therefore, we hope that the rest of the world could return to the Bund area. We're going to combine different elements like the commerce, culture, and also the tourism. And we will also, develop like a smart city or a smart Bund in the future.
What kind of changes, new relationships, or what kind of new cooperation needs to happen between government and private developers to achieve sustainable vertical urbanism, as you would define it?
So I think that first we need to look at the administration system of the government. The government now has a lot of requirements for like holistic planning and some other requirements, especially restrictions on the plot size and the area, the footprint. So the limitations or restrictions are very severe and strict from the government. I think that it is necessary for the government to loosen this kind of a control because we really want to encourage the developers to actually bring to full play the functions of their projects and to save resources so as to create more value. But this is not going to happen without the encouragement and support from the government. Second, we also want to develop smart buildings, so the government should encourage developers to move toward this direction, to build more smart buildings. Taking us, for example, we're ready to invest heavily to build green buildings and smart buildings in the Bund Financial Center. However, there is heavy initial investment up front. So if this is not encouraged by the government and supported, then it's going to be a kind of a setback for developers and a demotivation.
Could you elaborate on that more? Specifically, what sorts of policies might encourage smart buildings in China, like the kind you just mentioned?
Yeah, some examples. I think that there should be more favorable policies to encourage the development of smart cities. Actually, there are a lot of constraints and restrictions on the planning and the plot size and the area, as I already mentioned, including the different forms of uses of the building, that are really regulated by the government, and the size of the office, functional area, the size of the shopping center. All these are subjected to government control, or even, how much area you're allowed to sell, and you have to keep it for how many years before you can sell it. Whether you can sell the entire floor or only a small section inside the floor, all these are controlled by the government. So we really hope that as developers, we invest money to buy this piece of commodity. It should be us who call the shot, not the government. And for projects, of course, we want to develop like the projects to apply for Green Energy 3-star and a LEED certification. Right, to do that, the property owners have to ramp up their investment. It is responsible to the product and to the society as a whole, and to enhance the quality of the buildings if we pull it off, really awarded with the titles of the green buildings. So we do hope that we can have more encouragement and policy support from the government, because sometimes there is a gap between your investment and the return.
What are some features of vernacular architecture or architecture specific to China and China's cultural heritage that you would like to see incorporated into tall building design but haven't seen yet?
So I think that it really depends. Sometimes it varies from individual case to case. It also depends on the district or location we are talking about, how to incorporate like the cultural elements into the tall building design. For example, for our Bund Financial Center project, the Norman Ford firm is really doing a great job to incorporate the Bund cultural elements, its splendid history into the design of the curtain wall and also the spatial design and experience creation for our building. And we also, adopt some elements from the China ancient theater and, kind of a play, those kind of a platform. We have like a special vertical draped curtain that is a very strong sign of a Chinese culture into designing this modernized architecture.
I'd like to ask you to look forward. What do you think is the key challenge facing tall building development in China?
And as we know that it is still about like the development of smart buildings and make sure that the city is going to be sustain its development in the future. For Shanghai, how can we develop it into a smart city? This is really a critical challenge because over the past decade or two, China experienced a crazy rate of economic growth, and for developers, really they're experiencing some change as well because the legacy pattern is homogenized kind of a pattern. No matter where you go, we look at the homogenized pattern of the buildings. They're in lack of individuality. Therefore, we really hope that we could endow those new buildings with the intelligibility and the cultural elements, so it's going to have more inner meaning rather than the outside superficial kind of way of expression.